The Blast from Our Past Network.
Welcome to a Patreon exclusive episode of Podcasting After Dark, an elite installment for our Patreon supporters. Lock your doors, close your windows, seal your fate. Sit back, relax, and enjoy.
What's up, everybody?
Woo, woo.
It's Wrap Up After Dark, so there is no proper intro.
Who's this guy or this guy, depending on what box I'm in right now?
Right, exactly on the screen. We got David with us this month. What's up, buddy?
I'm good. Thanks for having me back. I appreciate it, guys. It's good to see your lovely faces.
Dude, it's been way too long. It's been way too long.
I don't know what's happening right now.
I don't know, but I like it.
Dude, it's been freaking forever, man. What catch us up, man. What's been going on with you, buddy?
Oh, just life in general, really. Just hectic, chaos, crazy, moving house, trying to start a cat rescue sanctuary, writing books, got COCKBLOCKER / novel out, and I'm just finishing. This week, I'm finally finishing Wheelchair Camp 2. It's going to be done this week.
Cool.
Yeah.
Oh, dude, that's fantastic.
Wheelchair Camp
Amazing.
2, you can roll, but you can't hide. There you go.
I love it, dude. I freaking love it. Yeah, I mean, you and I have been talking a bit on WhatsApp and, back and forth. We'll message each other. And I know I've been following the house situation you've been going through, but I'm glad that that's all getting sorted out now.
Yeah, it's all coming to the end of the line. Fine. I mean, it's taken years to get to this point where, because I've been trying to find a property with a garden big enough so I can start a cat rescue in the back garden and kind of build it from there. And just trying to find a house with enough land in the gardens has been a complete nightmare. You just can't find it. Everywhere's got like courtyard gardens, tiny little gardens. But now I've found somewhere, and it's a weird time at the moment over here because there's kind of a housing crash, and so some people want like nothing for a property and other people want stupid money, and there's no rhyme or reason or rhythm, and it's just kind of potluck. I found this thing, so I'm just fingers crossed, running with it. It's gonna happen, thinking positive. So yeah, that's it. That's what's going on, and then writing those horror books, writing those horror novels. That's it.
Burning the candle at both ends,
yes,
right?
the candle is. I don't know what the candle is anymore. It's just like a mass of wax that you can light at various places. It's something that exists, and I have no idea what it is.
Could we say blocking the cock at both ends?
Blocking the cock of wood.
Cock blocker.
Cock
Not
blocker.
every romance is a heart shocker. Stopper.
Stopper.
Take two. Heart shocker, heart stopper, both. It's both.
Yeah.
I just say both.
It all sounded
That's
good.
right, guys and gals. David's got a new book out right now. It's hot off the presses. Dropped about 3 or 4 weeks ago at this point, right? At the beginning of the month. We're recording at the end of the month.
Yeah, it was. That's right.
COCKBLOCKER. Can you tell us, my man, what the inspiration behind this book was?
This came from a very strange place. This came from, I think I've told you guys about it before, Roberto with Dimension Occultist Press in Spain. Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
He published the Spanish edition of My Ouija Boyfriend. And we were just talking on WhatsApp, and he sent me the cover for Heartstopper. No, he sent me a message that said, you need to write a horror version of Heartstopper because it sold 1 million copies. And my reply was, what the fuck is Heartstopper? And he's like, there's always two kind of answers when someone asks me something. I have no idea. It's like, what the fuck is this? And is it available on VHS? Because if it's on VHS, there's a good chance I probably know what this thing is. If it isn't, then there's no hope. And he said, no, it was this book. And then he sent me the cover, and I looked at it, and I was like, oh, okay. And I thought, okay, it's kind of just a gay romance thing. I get it. Just from the cover, I didn't know anything about it. I looked at the cover, I was like, okay, I understand what this book is. And then it took about 15 minutes, and I thought, do you know what would be really good? So 2 high school kids fall in love with each other, 2 gay high school kids, and there's a demented psychotic cheerleader who thinks everything in the world is like Saved by the Bell, and she's in complete denial that these two are gay, and she wants one of them to be Zach and the other one to be AC Slater. And I thought, yeah, that's what I want to do. That's where it's going to go. So yeah, she's a 90s obsessed cheerleader who just walks around going, "Oh, everything's great. This is just like Saved by the Bell." And she's in complete denial that these two are gay, and then there's a big build up to it. And when she finds out, her whole world, mind, everything comes shattering down, and she turns into a homicidal maniac. She goes out with an axe to try and make her own version of Saved by the Bell in real life.
Amazing.
I genuinely thought I was going to get a lot of shit from this because because in a way, she is the protagonist, but it's that kind of serial mom thing. Like it's very John Waters kind of inspired, and it's kind of it's kind of serial mom. But like, serial mom is not a good character. She's the protagonist but antagonist at the same time, and that's what I was kind of playing with this. And I filtered it through some people, and I was like, just please, once you've read this, you have to tell me how much of a homophobe do I sound like? I'm a straight white man writing this thing, and you have to tell me if I've overstepped the line. And
am I getting canceled by this? Please tell me.
Is this going to end everything immediately? And so I sent it out to people, and they come back, and you guys have, is it Glad that like?
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm talking about, Zach? Yeah.
Yeah, Gay and Lesbian Association.
Yeah. Well, Roberto sent this thing to the Spanish equivalent to that and said, okay, we have this thing. And they come back and said, it's hilarious. It needs to be released. And he said, they have no problem with it. And I was like, excellent. Then I did my job. Everything's fine.
Well, did you get any flack for Wheelchair Camp when that came out?
Yeah. Of course. Immediately. Yeah. I very much believe in. I don't think I've spoke to you guys about this, but I very much believe in life that there's signs in life that point you in the right direction. They're saying you're going in the right direction. You'll see something,
of course,
and if you're open enough to understand it, then you know you're doing the right thing. And the day Wheelchair Camp came out, there was some people on Twitter. Of course, it was Twitter. Everywhere else was fine, but it was. It was Twitter. And people were going, well, I just remember the first message that came through and someone said, this isn't PC. My reply was, well, no, it's not. I don't know what else you can say. No, it definitely is.
Yeah.
No. And and then there was a few people who ruffled their feathers, and they started, there was just one guy, it just got silly, and he started tagging things, and I wouldn't respond. I was like, because if I respond, I'm just fanning the flames, so just let it burn out. Because the thing, it had been released for a day, so no one had even read the book. They saw the cover and literally judged the book by the cover.
Right.
Like,
As most of those people do.
Of those people do. Yeah. The common line through Twitter is just react. Oh, I've seen something. Let's react. Yeah.
Right.
And so I knew none of this stuff was valid in any way, shape, or form because they hadn't consumed the book. They hadn't read the thing. They have no idea what they're talking about. And but someone really took exemption to it, and they were like, "No, this needs to go. This is terrible. This is the worst thing ever." And they started tagging charities that worked with like disabled kids and kids that use wheelchairs into this tweet about Wheelchair Camp.
Thus giving you more exposure.
Exactly.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
I mean,
they really opened a door with it. Yeah. And there was and no one was really picking up on it because I wasn't responding. But this guy and people started going, just leave this guy alone. Like you haven't even read his book. And then through not doing anything and not reacting myself, his reactions started to expose themselves. But from that, there was a couple of funny things, and there was like a 13-year-old kid, and his profile picture was him sitting in his wheelchair, and I saw it said new message, and I saw the circle with the picture, and I was like, oh fuck, okay, right.
Oh no, I guess here it is.
Yeah, here it is. Yeah, it's happening. Yeah, and I opened up the message and it just said, hey, you the guy that wrote Wheelchair Camp, and I replied, and went, yeah, that's right. And it just went blank for ages. And the message came back and it said, why don't you just go and fuck off and die? And I was like, okay, thanks.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks.
Noted.
Yeah.
I will someday. Yeah. I will someday.
Yeah. That can be guaranteed eventually.
Yeah, eventually.
Yeah. So that happened, and but there was nothing else because then people started reading the book and they understood it.
Yeah.
And when this happened, I was it was the day it was released, and I went out with Roxy that night, and we were sitting there. My phone was obviously we was in a restaurant. My phone was buzzing, and she was like, "What is that?" I was like, "It's Twitter." She was like, "What have you done? What have you done?" And I was like, "It's fine. I promise, it's fine. It's fine." And I said, "Like, I don't react. I don't do anything. We just leave it." And where I was saying about you see signs in life, one of the big inspirations for wheelchair camp was sleepaway camp. And when we were in this restaurant, no word of a lie, there was a girl serving in this restaurant. She came walking out from the back, and she looked exactly like Angela from Sleepaway Camp. The haircut, the stony, the stony face, just the wide-eyed, blank. She had that. She had everything. And I said, just look at that girl's face. And Roxy was like, I know. And immediately she was like, I know what you're thinking. I said, I'm right though, aren't I? She does. And she's like, she exactly does. And just her mannerisms were robotic when she was doing stuff, and she was really meek. And I said, this is a sign I've done the right thing here. And when the girl came over and served us, I was looking at her like, yeah, she really does look like her. And I thought, no, that good karma. I think you've been put here to say that whatever I've done is the right decision, because it made me. I was thinking about it. So do I say, oh yeah, you look like Angela from Sleepaway Camp? Oh yeah, what's that then?
No.
Oh, it's about a boy that dresses as a girl and kills a load of people, and you look just like them. And
it's a bit, yeah. You know, you could have said, "Hey, Bob-a-ree Bob."
I could have done that. And that would have made me look even more like a maniac.
I mean, look, in that moment, I'm like, there's so many things I could say right now, but I can't say them. Andrew Dice Clay has a really funny bit about when he's describing. I just won't. I can't say it now. I just can't. Canceled.
You are finished. You have been canceled.
By the way, really quick, did it ever occur to you with Cockblocker you could say, "You won't get saved by the bell this time"?
Fuck me. I'm coming to you next. Zach's just going right Cockblocker too.
Zach
I
needs to be an
failed.
editor.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, Corey and I come up with some good stuff every now and then.
There is a part in there where the headmaster of the school, the principal of the school, is going to say something to her, and she goes, "Uh-oh, saved by the bell," and then just runs off, and the bell goes. So there's something. But what I should have used it as a Freddy Krueger style one-liner. I know, I failed.
And is Roxy the model on the cover of the book?
Everyone says this, and no, she's not. She's genuinely not. And everyone said, "Oh,
really?
Yeah, she's not." No.
I would have bet $1,000 that Suspiria Land. By the way, great cover by Suspiria Land as always.
Yep.
We absolutely love her artwork. But I thought right when I saw it, I was like, oh, cool. Makes sense. David probably gave her a Roxy photo for reference.
No, I genuinely did. I went to Shutterstock and just found a stock in me. I literally Googled grinning girl. And I found that picture. Yeah, and I found that picture and then added it in and then said, just do something that kind of looks like this. And everyone says, oh, so Roxy's on the cover. But then I got Roxy to pull the face, and I was like, yeah, okay, it does actually really look like you.
I mean, I got my Electric Heart CD right over here signed, and I'm looking back and forth, and I'm like, it looks just like Roxy.
It's the same person.
It's the same picture. It's the same
guy. It's the same person. It's the same person, guys.
But it's great artwork, and again, I always love Suspiria Land. She did the cover for our Seven Winters Alone, and then she's done so many of your covers now.
Yeah, I think she's done 5.
Did she do the Bloody Tracks of Bigfoot?
No, that wasn't.
Yeah.
No.
That doesn't look like her, but that's a good one too. You pick some good cover artists, man.
I am how I go about those covers, I always do mock-ups. So I design mock-ups, and then I know that a lot of the artists I work with, they always say you give us so much more than anyone else, because I basically that kind of exists really rough, and I give it to them, say make this, do this but perfect, and they come back, and there's always minimal changes because I always pretty much know what I want from a cover, you know. Some of them I've done myself, like the Plebius ones. That was completely me. That was just photography, and yeah, that was.
And
That's
that
one of my
was
favorite
Roxy
covers,
on the
actually.
cover, right?
That was yeah, exactly. I can't use it for everything. Let's be serious. I'm not Rob Zombie. Like,
You're not
fuck
Rob
me.
Zombie.
Yeah, you're not. Fortunately, you're not Rob Zombie.
I know. Very fortunately.
I was gonna say you should have a follow up to the wheelchair camp, or maybe a what do you call it? Where you make another series based on the series. What is that called?
Spin-off?
Spin-off.
Yeah.
You could call it Cripple Creek. Cripple Creek.
I think I'm cancelled, Zach.
You're canceled.
Zach, you're cancelled for having an idea.
That's a song. It's a song from the band.
You
I'm
tell
just
Twitter
saying,
that.
that's a
You
song
tell
from
Twitter
the band.
that. Yeah. It's a song.
I'm
Cancelled.
just saying it because someone in your book might like the band, and never mind. Hey, side note, total deviation side note. So, we just broke down Treasure of the Four Crowns a couple weeks ago. Have you seen Treasure of the Four Crowns?
I was listening to that episode today, and I got about a third of the way into it. And when you put the picture up, I thought I would never watch this movie. As soon as you guys, I know I would. But like, if we were in the video store and it was the 80s and that was there in amongst other things, that wouldn't be the first choice to go to. Definitely.
Yes, it would.
Okay, maybe it would. but when you guys are breaking, I was convinced I haven't seen this film. But when you started breaking it down, I've got a funny feeling I have seen this movie.
I think you
I
have.
think I have seen it. I
think we were with you when you watched it when you were a
in
child.
spirit, in person.
Yes.
Yeah, both, either.
The good news
Yeah,
is
and
it's free on YouTube, so you can watch that. But I don't know, man. The Blu-ray, the Kino
Should
Blu-ray
own it.
comes with that those 3D glasses.
How good is the
It's-
3D on that Blu-ray? I'm very.
Oh, you
interested.
can
Is
watch it for like 10 minutes before you want to throw up.
So I wanna bring up the 3D thing really
Hmm.
quick because I just talked about this the other day and I had a moment. It segues into Werewolf, by the way.
Oh, the TV show, nice.
Yeah, the TV show. So have you guys, Corey? I'm sure you're familiar with this publishing company, Blackthorn Publishing.
Yes, that actually does sound familiar.
So I went down a rabbit hole. A future episode of $2 Late Fee features something connected with Blackthorn Publishing. And I started going on a rabbit hole. I'm like, why do I know that publishing company? And I started looking up their titles. They put out the Werewolf comic book. They put out a Star Wars comic book, a Transformers comic book, a Red Heat comic book, a Rambo 3 comic book, almost all of them in 3D.
No way.
So they were the 3D people to do that. So I think they also put out a comic book. Dave Stevens, who does the Rocketeer, I had a 3D comic by him, and I think it was called like Space Vixens or something like that.
Yep, I think so.
And it was because his artwork's hot. But it was in 3D and everything, and yeah, that sounds familiar. And I was like, because you're rattling them off, and I'm like, why Star Wars? Marvel had that license at the time,
Right.
but they probably
Transformers also.
they probably sublet it or whatever you want to call that to this company, because this company must have been the people that did everything 3D. So that's interesting, dude.
Yeah, I had the Red Heat. I'm sure you guys do. I know, David, you love movie adaptations of, that.
Oh yeah,
Movies
novelizations
that are made into books.
Yeah.
Novelizations, thank you. But these were like the comic book novelizations of Red Heat and Rambo 3. And Red Sonja is another one they did. And they go for a pretty good amount on eBay now, but I'm like, maybe I need to restart this collection again, because Red Heat in a comic book
That's
form?
insane.
Come
In
on.
3D
how cool is
comic book,
Yeah.
even better.
Yes.
So when he says "Avenge me," it's all in 3D.
Yes. Yeah, and the vixens in your comic book, they just come popping out at you. I could see a little Corey Gory with his 3D glasses on. Be like,
And of course, the one I got was the only one with like all chicks on the cover and everything.
yeah, close enough to touch.
But I mean, it's awesome that the Kino Blu-ray comes with both versions of that. They even have the modern version where you use your regular glasses, so it looks fine. But you also got to keep in mind, I'm watching the blue and red one over my glasses, so it kind of just, it didn't work great. But like, if I could get it sort of tight enough, it would be fine. So if you
How
have
blind are
contacts
you?
or,
How blind are you without your glasses?
You guys are just blurry human blur squatches. You know what I mean? So yeah.
Now, for those of
right
you
there.
guys that are listening to this and not watching this, is the minute he took his glasses off, he went cross-eyed.
I went right. Immediately canceled. My
He
eyeballs
looked
were
like
canceled.
Steve Brule. He pulled a Brule.
But yeah, I mean, David, if you watched it, because I don't think you don't need glasses, right? You're fine.
I use
Your
my
eyes?
eyeballs. Yeah.
To see.
Yeah.
It would probably be okay. It would probably be okay.
Have you guys ever seen the Friday the 13th Part 3 Blu-ray, 3D Blu-ray?
Yeah, because
have you got the 3D
yeah,
Blu-ray?
it's do they have it in the blue and red version, or is it
It's the
only
blue
in
and red. And do you know what? I think that's the best 3D film I've seen on Blu-ray. Because even I've got the Freddy's Dead with the
Yeah.
3D.
I'm still here.
Where he puts his glasses on.
Jesus fucking Christ. 3D Freddy.
It's one of the worst.
It's the worst. It's so bad.
It's the worst. It's terrible. I have those glasses still. By
So
the
do
way.
I. So do I. So do I.
Of course
Yeah,
you do.
Of course.
So we're brothers from another seed.
Exactly. But someone on YouTube actually took the end of Freddy's Dead and actually made it into proper 3D Freddy. Oh, he's got it. Yeah. It must have.
Of course you got it.
Of course it's got
So
it.
this has the 3D version on it as well.
I think it does. If it's not that box set, it's the box set before.
Now I remember. Actually, I think it does because I think I have a replacement disc in here.
Okay.
They just had to send out a replacement because I think the original it didn't have the 3D, and everyone's like, "What?"
Yeah.
And then they had to send out I think like 3 replacement discs, and I think the one they did it has the actual 3D version.
Yeah,
on
yeah,
it.
gotcha.
It's weird though. It doesn't really. I don't really see it touted up though, like on the back features.
Because
you
I've
know, but it
still
does
got
say-
the previous box set, and the previous Blu-ray box set does have the 3D version in there. And the biggest hardest sell for a movie is showing it to Roxy, because of that is the point where it's like, is this any good to a general audience? Because I do consider a general audience some of these horror films. And
Yeah.
I've shown her stuff, and she's like, "Why are we watching this? This is terrible." And it's like, "Oh, okay, I'll turn it off." What is this Charles Band shit? Turn it off. Okay, yeah, no worries. But she's not that harsh. I'm being.
She'll like Treasure of the Four Crowns. It's so bad. It's actually like
She liked
bad,
she liked
you know?
She liked Yor, and I was surprised by that. She really liked Yor.
then she'll like Treasure of the
I
Four
think
Crowns.
so.
If she
Yeah,
like yours.
yeah. But I showed her a Friday the 13th 3D with the glasses, and she was like, "Oh, this never works." And with that one, she was like, "This is really good." And that was the only Friday the 13th she watched all the way through, and she was like, "The 3D is perfect, you know." And what other 3D
I'm not gonna
movies have
disagree
you got?
with you.
And I got the 3D Freddy vision on. She was like, "Yeah, this sucks." I was like, "Yeah, it really does suck. It's terrible."
I know, I think that's the one thing that I love more about the 13th series versus Freddy is it never went the Jason never went, well, he couldn't with his one-liners. He didn't go comical, he didn't go, accessible for a larger audience. He always stayed dark. And meanwhile Freddy is like, haha,
Aha, my
becomes
pretty.
the jokester.
Remember the broomstick? I'll get your own
you're
soul
right.
too. Just,
to that point,
Saved by the
Zach,
Bell? I don't think so.
I'm very open about the fact that I grew up on Friday the 13th. That's my favorite slasher franchise, but also Jason X is my favorite of the series.
Same.
Very much quickly followed by Part 2. So I love it like on one end, and I love the other end of the spectrum. But Zach, to your point, what I think works about Jason X and what people sort of forget is that even though the movie's preposterous, Jason still acts the same in that movie.
He doesn't change.
He doesn't change at all.
No.
And I think that movie proves the point that, like zombies, you can just drop Jason into sort of any scenario, and he's entertaining because he's always just going to be himself, And I like that.
I think that's
Yeah,
what they
I
needed
think-
to do with that series. I think that was the best way, just to drop Jason into different situations. I think that's the only way
yeah,
for it to
and
survive, and it works. It just works.
It does, and I think to this day I still think the Michael Bay like kind of reboot is
Oh, I
pretty
like
darn
it. Yeah, I
scary.
watched
Yeah.
that
I
about a
love
week
it.
ago. Yeah, and it still holds up.
It
You can
holds
still
up.
treat that like a sequel. You could just say, "Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
it's a modern sequel, and it works."
yeah.
But then,
I thought the genius of that is it doesn't replace the entire series or change anything. It only replaces like 2 movies. It like takes out like part 2 and 3, takes them out, and then just puts this in. And then you can actually keep extrapolating the rest of the series outward,
well, the writers of the remake were the same guys that did Freddy versus Jason, and they said secretly we wanted to try and make this. They wanted to make it a secret sequel. They wanted to kind of, yeah, we've changed enough that you could go, yeah, because it's never had the best, but in a way it kind of has. It has had the best consistency story wise, because I mean Halloween's been rebooted like six times now. But that there is a chronological order with Friday the 13th, and it was terrible at the time when you used to watch it. And it's like, this timeline, I don't understand. But when you look back at it now in the tapestry of like all these films, it's like, oh no, they were trying at least. Like Freddy, they were trying as well. But yeah, Halloween kind of broke everything, and Friday the 13th, it you can see how that remake would fit in as a sequel. There's enough there to get away with saying that it is a sequel. A modern day.
Yeah, because Texas Chainsaw Massacre spent way too many time going, oh wait, this is before everything happened. Exactly. Oh, this is a reboot. Yeah. Oh, this is after everything happened. Oh, where I don't know where we are.
I never liked that Texas Chainsaw remake. If that's 20 years old, that is 20 years old. Like this week, I think.
We are old, fellas.
We are Jessica Biel?
The Jessica Biel one. It's 20th anniversary this week. Yeah.
No.
Yeah. I remember going to the theatre to see it. I remember thinking, how can you remake Texas Chainsaw Massacre? And I went to see it and came back and went, oh, yeah, you can't. And I continued with life.
No. I was just talking about, Bodhi is at this age now where he has been for a little while now. He's very fascinated with horror films and wants to know what they're about.
I was going to, but carry on. But you'll bring, carry on.
Perfect segue then. Because we just watched Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom, which I now will confirm that I believe that is the best Indiana Jones movie, period.
Oh, you haven't seen the new one, though? Come on.
We're going to see it this weekend. We're going to see.
I'm sure it's going to be great.
Yeah. Oh, God. But, he was at the arcade over the weekend at a birthday party, and he played the Aliens game that they had there. And we started talking about Aliens because he was super obsessed about it and really into the game. And I said, we should watch the movie. And then I showed him the trailer and he says, I don't want to watch that movie. So he loves the idea. And he always obviously hears me talk about, because of this show, what movies I watched when I was a kid, what traumatized me as a kid, why it traumatized me. And I think because he's a storyteller, like he's a DM. He loves to play Dungeons and Dragons and world build, right? So the fantasy is cool, but the reality when he watches it, he's like, nah, not yet. He's just not there yet, And he did want to watch. I was talking to Lee Germaine. Lee Germaine's daughter is 10. He showed her Jason Takes Manhattan because Muppets Take Manhattan. Wait, Jason, whatever it's called, Muppets and Jason Take Manhattan. Because that was like the least gory, non-sexual film of the entire series, right? And I'm like, oh, maybe I'll show Bodhi that one because he wants to watch these, like, he wants to get into the franchises. Yeah. But I'm still holding on to. I know his innocence will pretty much be gone after he toe dips into these franchises.
6,
Aliens
included. Part 6, Friday the 13th, Part 6, because it is slightly more comedic. I would say maybe that one would be the best. That's the one I started on, 6. And look how I turned out. Everything's great.
Turned out just fine.
Yeah, everything's fine.
Look, we're all three of us are artists, and I love the artist lifestyle, and I love the artist mentality. And if Bodhi ends up becoming an artist as he gets older, God bless it. Whatever he wants to be, it's all good. But but I think having that experience watching these horror films as a kid, and movies like Treasure of the Four Crowns, which is so bonkers, it just really shapes who you are as a person.
It does.
I mean, he just hears me talking about it and he gets inspired. So he starts telling me he's like doing a Dungeon Master game, and he's going into like using elements of Treasure of the Four Crowns, where there's these 4 crystals. And I'm like, this is good stuff, man. Like, we watched Temple of Doom and he was not scared by any of it. And in fact, he's like, he now judges a film by, he wants to see action, gore, and a little bit of romance.
A little bit, okay.
Oh,
okay.
Yeah, he's now getting into it.
Here we go.
He doesn't tell me about that sort of thing. But I think Temple of Doom checked all those boxes off. It's got the least annoying buddies in it. And it's got Short Round, who is unbelievably great as a sidekick to Indiana
Yeah,
Jones.
I always like
and it's
short
great
guy.
for kids. It's a great gateway to kids because that's how you connect.
Well, I mean,
I love that movie. I thought it was great.
I mean, I showed my nephew Raiders of the Lost Ark, and he's 8 years old. He's almost 8. He's about 8, so he's a couple years behind Bodie, and he's watching it and everything, and he's like, he wasn't really connecting with Indiana Jones because he was like, this guy's. He literally said to me, he's like, why is he so happy about murdering people? And I was like, oh, the people that he's murdering gleefully, they're like the worst people in the world. But like to my nephew, it was just a white guy killing other white guys. Like there was no context to it whatsoever. So he's just like, why am I rooting for this guy who's happy about killing people who I have no idea if they're bad or good? I'm just like, oh, okay, I'm sorry about that. And then of course I have to be like, so there's these people called Nazis. You'll learn about them later. They're pretty.
Show them shockwaves.
They're pretty bad. So that's it. I'm not gonna tell you anymore.
Well, I think that's the thing about Temple is that he's not. He kind of goes in on a mission to save this village.
Yeah.
Right. To bring back their rock. There's more of a.
It's more clear who the bad people are in that, right?
Yeah. There's a more heroic purpose in Temple of Doom versus him just being in it for. They mentioned honor and glory through this whole thing, but then it's not about that at all. It's about him helping this community, and that I think was what makes it a little bit tighter in my opinion.
Well, and kind of to go back to the kid talk too, Zach, it's interesting. I know you don't play a lot of video games, like new video games and stuff in the house and everything. But my brother-in-law does. So my nephew, he knows who all the slashers are because my brother-in-law plays Dead by Daylight, and shows it to him. This kid's been watching him play Dead by Daylight for years. And
Cool.
so he knows who Jason is, and even though Jason isn't in it, but he still knows who he is because of it, and Michael Myers and all these people and stuff. And then he actually plays that Aliens Fireteam Elite, so he knows what, Xenomorph looks like and everything. But then, I was playing the game with him and everything, and he saw a facehugger, and he's like, oh, what's that? And I was like, oh, I kind of paused the game. I was like, look, so the facehugger jumps on your face and implants an embryo in your chest, and then the alien that you've been fighting, it explodes out of their chest. And as I'm explaining this to him, he's just like, like horrified. And I'm like, see, there's still surprises to this. Like, just because you play the video game and they've made aliens not as scary, the movie's still pretty damn scary, but he's still, it's kind of going what Zach says. He hears about it all the time from me, how much I love that movie. And I mean, my God, there's no movie's ever been hyped up in one kid's head like Aliens has.
Of course.
And he just can't wait to watch it. He can't wait to watch it. But I keep telling him, when you're 8 years old, then we can cross that bridge. But that's in a couple months. So and I'm just gonna tell him, like, my biggest concern with Aliens is the length. 2.5 hours. It's not a lot. It's not action all the time. You know what I mean? So I don't know how well he's gonna sit through that. I'm not so worried about the actiony stuff, but yeah, he might be a little shocked because I don't think his parents show. He doesn't see that much gore,
I think that opening scene is going to be intense, where Ripley gets her, but has a nightmare.
Yeah, and the fact that it never burst through as a kid always freaked me out, because the skin just kept going.
That always reminds me of Fly 2 when she gives birth to the maggot. Do you remember that? They're very similar. They're two things. As a kid, I remember being like, oh my God, that body horror kind of stuff going on. Yeah.
Wasn't there a similar thing in V? Didn't she give
gave
birth
to a lizard baby?
Biff? Yeah.
That's cute.
I saw that as a
cute.
kid. I spoke about that for weeks, months after that happened. Because we watched it, and the first one comes out, and it's like the first baby. There's two babies.
Yeah, there's two babies. There's one lizard and one human.
No,
right?
there's the first one that comes out, and it's human, and they're going, "Oh, it's fine, it's fine," and the forked lizard tongue comes out of the normal baby's mouth, and it was like, "Oh
That's
my
right.
God!" And they take that one away, and then the next thing you know, you see the doctor's face drop, and his eyes are popping out, and the next thing you know, there's the green puppet full lizards coming out. And I remember watching that with my sister, and my sister was screaming like, what the hell is going on? And that really made an impact. Yeah, that giving birth to things as a child, or alien creatures, definitely ruins you as a human being.
Isn't there a similar scene in Extra like that?
Oh
as well?
yeah, she gives birth to a full grown man. Yeah, that's
that's a man.
That's a
Baby.
man. Yeah. But no, that's what I was
love that.
thinking, Zach. That's because You know they've got the Arrow box set. I was going to pull the trigger on it today. The video store box set.
Mine's coming today. It should be. It's out for delivery as we speak.
I was at work
Damn,
today and I had
lucky.
my phone in my hand and it was biting now. My finger was hovering over it. I was like, do I spend this money right now? I don't have this. I need a new phone. I need to get the car fixed. And it's like, but I want this Blu-ray box set.
know.
Shall I do it? And I didn't do it. I've got it in my basket, but I haven't purchased it yet.
Dude, I mean, it costs, the whole box set costs as much as if you were to just buy dolls.
It's true.
The Shout
Yeah,
Factory dolls on eBay.
Yeah.
Because that thing lasted like 9 months and then it went boom, like out of print, and then it went boom like $100 on eBay.
Yeah, but dolls here, you can get dolls for $7.99. This is what I mean. Like, I know it's insane. It's seven.
How many movies you get? Five.
Get five.
You get five
yeah.
movies. I think?
Arena, dolls,
Dungeon
Robot
dolls,
Jocks, Robot Jocks.
Dungeon Master.
Oh,
And,
Cellar Dweller.
Cellar Dweller. Yeah.
Probably the only one I didn't care about was
Cellar
Dungeon
Dweller?
Master, and then I saw somebody on the Instagram feed, you know, one of our we follow, and they posted a clip from it, and I was like, oh, that actually looks kind of cool. So now I haven't seen Cellar Dweller, I haven't seen that one. I just bought it for Robot Jocks and dolls. Honestly, I mean, truthfully, I've been wanting both of those Blu-rays for years, and I don't think Robot Jocks ever even came out on Blu-ray. So
No, Robot Wars I think came out.
Robot
on Blu-ray
Wars
because
is on
that's a Full
Blu-ray.
Moon
Yeah,
title.
definitely.
Yeah.
that's Full Moon, right?
Yeah.
But when that came out, it really made me think because the whole thing of that box set is, oh yeah, physical media. The video store is back again, and it really made me think about Bodhi, as in the fact that he's not gonna. I remember vividly going into video stores, seeing those covers, and those covers haunting me. And I remember book covers haunting me. And the original book cover for Stephen King's Cujo, where it's a kid with a lighter and in the dark, and the dog's just jumping out of the dark at him, and that really played on my mind. But you have the advantage of the fact that you buy all these Blu-rays and you have them in your home, so he still can have that experience. And I was wondering, does he have that experience where he walks up to like your DVD collection and takes something off, and it's just looking at the cover, and it's like, what's
Sometimes.
this?
Yeah, he does sometimes, because I have like the pad movies that are ready to go near our Blu-ray, and you know, all the animated movies are right next to like where our sound system is, so he's looking at that too. He doesn't he will spend some time looking at the covers and ask about it. I've shown him, you know, the one that Corey's going to break down, that I'm going to break down for the next month. My pick for Corey is he looked at that and he was asking about it. I'm like, well, what's it look like? He goes, well, it looks cool. I said, yeah. I said, there was a time when just because the art looked really good doesn't mean the inside's going to be really good. But in this case, I think it matches up, you know. But yeah, he's like fascinated by it. He was looking at Space Raiders. I showed this earlier before we went online. Space Raiders, I think I saw this in the theater actually, because it's rated PG. It's a quote unquote kids movie.
It's made of snippets of other films, isn't it? It's made of snippets of other films. They reused lots of footage from other things and mixed it all in there. And the Space Raiders, there's something else where they use a lot of Space Raiders footage in that film as well.
Was it Battle Beyond the Stars?
Is there something about a kid surfing through TV? It's a Roger Corman thing, isn't it? And he surfs through different TV, different movies on a TV, and he goes into Space Raiders. And they cut it kind of well. Like you kind of believe the kids, because there's the kid in there in this movie, and I think the kid in the other movie takes his place. All the reverse shot, when you're looking over the shoulder of the kid, it's the other kid from the other movie. Yeah,
wow.
It's
the only thing I remember about Space Raiders is I loved Ice Pirates as a kid, and I rented Space Raiders either by accident because I wanted Ice Pirates, or I was hoping it would be similar. I just remember when I was watching, I was like, oh, this isn't as good as Ice Pirates. You know,
it's not. I don't think a lot of things are as good as Ice Pirates.
I love that movie, man.
Here's a question: is this as good as Ice Pirates?
Oh,
Village of the Damned. Nice segue. Nice segue.
Dude, that was I was not expecting to like that movie as much as I did. I think Christopher Reeve really helped that the likability factor of that film.
Yeah, I agree.
What do you think about it? What are your thoughts on it, David? Share it with us.
I've got kind of a long history with that, because it's very much like a piece of British culture in a way, like horror culture. Because I've still got the. Can you see that? Can you see?
Yeah, see the original. Yeah.
Yeah, there
Yeah,
it is.
beautiful.
Look at that.
Yep.
Perfect.
Oh,
Wow,
Yeah,
big
no,
box.
big box.
Oh,
Yeah.
is that?
Look at this bad boy. Look at that on there on the spine.
Whoa,
Yeah,
wow.
beautiful. And
That would go for a pretty penny on
can you
eBay.
see that in there? It's got the MGM
Yeah,
logo, yeah, embossed in there.
It's very
It's
clean.
very clean.
Man,
Very
that's a
clean.
beautiful case, man.
Oh yeah, I love it. This here, when I was at film school, they were turning over to DVD and they took all the VHS, and this was literally pulled from the trash. They trashed this. They threw it in the trash, big piles of, and I took everything that was good. And that's where it came from. This was one of the films in a video library in a film school, which just
If they could only look forward in time, that film school would be rich right now if they could sell those VHS
so dumb.
tapes.
So I've got King Kong as well, same big box you can open up and everything. I've got quite a few of them from there. But that here, like it's just because it's a British movie, and John Wyndham, who did They're the Triffids as well and wrote Midwich Cuckoos, his legacy is kind of here, and it's something that comes up in like pop culture over here a lot. Like it's something that every day you go somewhere and it's like, Jesus, this place is like the Village of the Damned. It's just something people say. So it's something that I've known about for a long time, but I really like the original. You guys, I would definitely say you guys should see it. It's very economical compared to the Carpenter one. The Carpenter one definitely adds the Kirstie Alley character, which kind of feels like a female cigarette smoking man from X-Files in a way. It adds some extra stuff in there, which is quite interesting in the Carpenter one. But the original is they're kind of beat for beat, but they just play things different ways. But the original is very much from a male point of view. You don't see, which is odd for a movie about the subject matter about people getting pregnant by some alien force, but it's very much from the male point of view and how it affects the males in the village. But so they're different moves, and I think the Carpenter one definitely taps in more to the female point of view and how it affects them in his version. But I really like the original, and I remember, I mean, like you guys, I was buying Fango at the time. And I saw this previewed in Fango, and I was like, well, I need to see this. And the interesting thing is, if you think about it, the way Carpenter's designed the kids is black and white, like the original film. He's given that monochrome look. So it kind of, it's clever. It's a clever way of doing it and updating it.
That's cool.
And
I thought about that.
he did a good job. You can tell that, you know, he's a gun for hire on some of these things. But I think he did put a lot of thought into this design in it and trying to keep it authentic. And I remember when this, like I said, I remember the Fango. I remember walking into a movie. Then this happened a couple of times, and two of the things that I'll be talking about is John Carpenter films. But I remember walking into a movie theater and seeing the banners like hanging in the lobby, and one of them was for In the Mouth of Madness. And I was like, oh my god, I need to see this thing. And then it never went to the theater over here. It went straight to video. And I thought, I can't believe they advertised it in the theater and it didn't come out. And then the second one was Village of the Damned, and they had the whole like great big banner hanging up. And I just vividly remember it and thinking, and I was like 14. I was like, I need to see this thing. John Carpenter's Village of the Damned. Like, this is going to be awesome. And it just disappeared. It's like, where the hell is it? And it just came out. It was just in Blockbusters on the shelf. And it's okay.
Wow.
But I forgot until you guys started talking about how much I liked it, and I think I know you're going deeper into the rest of what's left, the scraps of the copy.
And you're going to be on the Ghost of Mars episode.
I've already got a copy of that for this. That was a reluctant buy, but I think Village of the Damned, John Carpenter's Village of the Damned, I think is good. I think it's really good. I think it's better than it has to be.
I agree.
Which is interesting because he was a gun for hire on that one, like you said.
But I think he's got a bit more passion for it because, like, when you go back to, because I know he likes the Quatermass experiment, doesn't he, and that kind of stuff, and he kind of delves into a bit of that with Prince of Darkness, and I think that's genuinely where his interest kind of goes more into the science fiction kind of stuff, science fiction horror. And I think this is kind of a direct feed into what, like The Thing. Like, we all think John Carpenter's The Thing, but it's not John Carpenter's The Thing. But he made a really good definitive version of The Thing. And I think Village of the Damned fed into what he looks for in a project. So no one really says No one, people just say Village of the Damned. No one says John Carpenter's Village of the Damned. They should. They probably should. And some people probably do. But you don't really. It's kind of something that's fallen in the cracks slightly, isn't it? In his filmography, Village of the Damned. It was.
Yeah.
It didn't
I'd
really.
say I don't. It doesn't immediately jump out in my head at this era. I always think of Escape from L.A. You know, I think of In the Mouth of Madness, and this is, you know, I think of Ghost of Mars,
Yeah.
but this is right in that era as well. And I never think about it, and it's weird too because, you know, In the Mouth of Madness had a weird release dates to it. Like it came out, I think, in Canada first or something, and then it actually came out the same year in the U.S. that Village of the Damned came out. So it's kind of like you had both of them, two John Carpenter movies in the same year, if I remember correctly.
Yeah. Yeah.
Feels a little dumped on.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
they just dumped him
Well,
out.
They're just like,
you know?
we don't know where to put it. Let's drop it here, you know?
Well, this definitely like what I'm saying is it's like I saw the banner in the lobby and then it just disappears straight to
Yeah.
video, and it's in my mind when you say Village of the Damned, I think more probably because where I live and where I come from of the British film, the original film, I think more of that. And then when you guys brought it up, it just brought back memories. Like, oh yeah, that was good. I enjoyed watching that, and I remember that end scene with Christopher Reeve and the visual of the wall and everything. I was like, oh yeah, this is a really good film, and I watched it last night, and I sat down and it was I didn't pick the phone up once. I was just completely engaged with it. It was just like, oh yeah, I'm really enjoying this. This is good. This doesn't get as much love as it should do. This is really good.
Yeah, it's easy to get engrossed with it. I was obsessed with Michael Pare at the time, and I liked Christopher Reeve a lot too. And I was really, I think, enthralled by the casting choices throughout the whole movie, which is why it always strikes a chord with me. And like I said in the Carpenter Factor episode, I saw it in the theater. I think that if this movie came out in the 80s, it would have been better.
Yeah, definitely.
I think something about his spark that he had in the 80s, his energy he had in the 80s, which is, you know, we pretty much said almost all his 80s movies are in the top of the list so far. The 90s just got like weak, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey.
The sauce was weak in the 90s.
Weak sauce.
Did have you guys ever seen the interview he did on set, John Carpenter? Have you ever seen that
Of the Village of the
Village
Damned?
of the Damned? Yeah.
Is it on the Blu-ray?
I don't know because I don't have the blue. I've just got the DVD. But
I remember when it was on like Entertainment Tonight.
I
and
think it
they were
might have
talking
been
about
on
it.
something like that, but it's on YouTube definitely. And you see Carpenter, and he's filming the interview when he's shooting the scene, his cameo when he's by the phone in the brown leather jacket.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And he's so happy. He is
Yeah.
he's he's saying this is where I wanted to be in my career, making these kind of movies for a studio, and I've got a 3-picture deal, and this is what I want to be doing. And so you can kind of tell he had some real enthusiasm for doing this. And I mean, you think this was a Universal. I mean, The Thing was a Universal and it failed, didn't it? And I think it took this amount of time to build up the goodwill to go, oh well, actually, yeah, with that The Thing did gangbusters on VHS, so let's bring you back in there and do some more stuff like that. And I think for him, in his mind, it must have been like the second coming. It was the second chance. So right now I can do this the way I want to do it. They want me to do this stuff.
And he wanted to do A Creature from the Black Lagoon.
Yeah.
This was supposed to be his stepping stone. That was his passion project. So I also wonder how much of his giddiness was from the prospect.
I think
doing
it
that.
was. Yeah, I think.
Yeah, I think so
correct,
too.
yeah.
And unfortunately, it got ripped away from him when Village of the Damned didn't do well at the box office either. But yet, it's one of his strongest second half of his career movies.
I genuinely, I know I've kind of advocated for this, but I genuinely think doing the Craven connection is totally the thing that you can kind of hold a mirror up to Carpenter and Craven where they were in
Debbie
their careers.
the car, Craven Coscarelli.
I mean,
you're just
totally
gonna
bachelor
pass
party,
one and
bro.
all
It's
of this.
totally bachelor party.
But when it comes to it, I'm going to be like, they're going to do Craven, and all of a sudden it's going to be Podcasting After Dark presents The Happy Hooper Hour. A retrospect of Toby Hooper. Oh, fuck. Okay. Where did that come from?
Well, we were going to
Presents
announce
fuck
this.
you, David.
Yeah, fuck you, David. The Happy Hooper Hour.
we are going to cover all of John Schlesinger's movies, including The Believers. No, I know we're toying around. This is behind the scenes stuff. Everyone listening and watching, with our next auteur, because we're not too far away from wrapping up John Carpenter, and the prospects of doing someone with a smaller filmography, it looks very promising, because we can, that won't, or versus someone who has a huge story career. We will be getting to what Craven is on our list. We will get to him, whether he's next or not. You'll have to stay tuned to this.
The Romero Roundup.
Yes, if we do music from the heart.
But I think it's kind of interesting, like where they were at certain points in time, because I think at one point Craven was trying to find his Halloween. I think Craven wanted a Halloween like John Carpenter had.
Clearly.
And then he got Nightmare on Elm Street. And I think later on with their career, I mean, you got to think about what was happening at this time, literally the same time as Village of the Damned, where Carpenter was doing this stuff and it wasn't working. That's when Craven was having a complete career revival with Scream, wasn't he? Right, he hit it. He hit it. The last part of Wes Craven's career is what I think John Carpenter wanted and he never got. But
so this for everyone who is not a patron to $2 late fee, this will be an exclusive to you, but we interviewed Jill Sholin for $2 late fee. That's our upcoming guest for the month of July. And we did a $2 6 question segment with Jill Sholin, and David asked some really great questions to Jill, which she appreciated. And you'll hear the answers to those questions, but I will just tease it by saying she does talk about working with Wes Craven on the TV film Chiller, which starred Michael Beck, and the original title it was under. And she talks about her opinion of Scream and what Scream should have paid homage to, but it did not. And Corey and I talked about this the other day.
I know what you're talking about.
When you pay tribute to somebody, like Quentin Tarantino acknowledges the films that he does, and then says, I got this from this movie or that from that movie. Reservoir Dogs. There's this great movie, City on Fire. You got to check it out. And people go, oh, that's cool. There were people that were like, oh, he bit off that movie. Well, no, but he also acknowledges that he did, but then you make a movie or a TV show and people go, why do I feel like this is familiar to me? But the directors are like, no, this is something that
I've never heard of.
It's kind of like when Cunningham said about Jason Goes to Hell. Everyone's like, oh, it's just The Hidden, and he's like, well, I've never seen The Hidden before. I didn't rip off The Hidden, but no. In Zach, what was our thing? If you cite your source, it's an homage. If you don't cite your source, it's a ripoff. And Cunningham should have just been like, yeah, I love that movie. That was freaking a great idea. I thought it would work well for Jason.
And you can hear more about this coming soon on Cunningham's Corner.
and Jill Sholin brings up a particular movie that she was in that shares a connection to Scream, and we're like,
I know the movie.
I think
buy a bag, go home in a box. That's all I'm saying.
You'll find out what it is when you listen to that segment.
Well, Zach, I did just want to switch gears really quick, because I wanted to talk about our, let me, I can't do, you know what? Shoot. I was going to say our, well, the thing is, I'm not going to be able to edit this because I can't edit videos. That's going to suck. But, so this is actually the last wrap up After Dark of season 4. We don't make too big of pomp and circumstance about our seasons, but we do have, these posters that Dan Parker does, and he's currently working on our season 4 poster now, and then hopefully we're going to have him on the show next month on Wrap Up After Dark so we can talk to him. That's been a long time coming. I've been wanting to have Dan on here for a while, but as you all know, he's done 3 posters for us for the first 3 seasons, and we are wrapping up season 4, so the last episode, which I have to edit this weekend, The Believers. Thank you to Cam Sully for picking that one for us to do. It's a long episode. It's a long episode. But and Zach and I have a lot of discussions, but it's not like a bit heavy episode. There's not like a lot of laughs and jokes in that one because it's a heavy movie, you know.
I know there's a lot of laughs and jokes when it comes to music.
Yeah,
and
that's true. That is true. But the themes are
we shit on
pretty
some
heavy.
bands.
But so unfortunately, I can't just pull up like the last calendar year on Spotify. But let's just do the last, the last month like we always do. Starting at number 5, we got Fulci's Zombie. So that's been doing pretty good for us. Number 4, our Richard Band interview did really well.
Really interesting.
Yeah, and I mean that's one of our older Patreon interviews, because we've been releasing the Patreon stuff out into the wild. But I'm glad we're doing it, Zach, because we're getting a lot of listens to them now and everything versus the Patreon stuff. So, just there's more people out there. So really appreciate that. Number 3, and it just dropped, Treasure of the Four Condoms. Dude, I think people were just like, what the fuck is this movie? And they just like popped it in really quick.
They were.
Wait till you see my next pick.
Oh, man. Number 2, TV Obscura, Captain Power did really well for us, and I had a feeling it would, and it took some extra effort for me to fix that episode in post because I accidentally recorded to the wrong microphone on my computer, and it was so hollow. My sound was so hollow and bad. It would have been unusable if not for this Adobe Podcast Enhance program that Dustin, our buddy Zach's co-host at $2 late fee, really saved our asses with that one. So he sent that over. I ran my track through there, had to do some tinkering and everything, but I was able to salvage it. My buddy Tim from Talking Back, he just hit me up. He's like, "Did you have a different mic on that episode?" And I was like, "No." I told him what happened. I was like, "Should I put a disclaimer on there?" And he's like, "No, it's fine. I was just curious." I was like, "No." I explained to him what happened to it and everything. But I'm glad that I did it because I didn't want to lose that conversation. I thought that was a really good conversation. And Zach and Diallo were like, "We'll re-record it if you need to." And I was like, "Well, maybe I could just re-record my half of the dialogue," and that just would have been weird. So I'm glad it was saved, though.
I didn't know it was a thing. It sounded fine. Yeah.
Okay,
thank
you.
I didn't question anything. Everything you're telling me is news to me.
Okay.
Yeah, all good.
Thank you. That makes me feel much better because it is getting a lot of downloads, and I'm happy that it doesn't sound really fucking weird and trashy. And then number 1. 1980s Alligator. That's doing really well too. So
awesome.
I do have a feeling that Treasure of the Four Crowns will be will be in the number 1 slot next month when we check it out.
I don't know, man. Alligator was great, but and believers. Oh God, I hate Imagine Dragons.
I know you do.
Sorry,
David, do you
like
have
them.
any thoughts on the Believers since that episode will be dropping next week?
I don't think
Or
I've even
Imagine Dragons.
seen the Believers.
In general.
I don't think I've even seen it. I don't think I've seen it. When it popped up the other day, I was like, hang on a second. I saw the screen grab you guys put up on the Patreon, and immediately I thought, I think this is one of those films that's just completely slipped through the net somehow. But then I saw another image from it, and I was like, well, hang on. Have I seen this or have I not? So I'm not sure on this. But I don't know. Is it horror or not?
I put it more.
It's a thriller. It's
It's a thriller.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's an adult thriller. I think one of the reasons why maybe it didn't do well commercially is because it didn't appeal to younger people like horror films typically do. It doesn't.
Gotcha.
It doesn't. You see Martin Sheen, and you don't see 18-year-old kids going, "Oh yeah, I want to see that Martin Sheen movie." Oh, Robert Loggia, sign me up. Oh, hunky.
Then at the same time, I asked my mom. I was like, "Did you ever see it?" And she's like, "Nah," And I'm like, "Okay, so it truly is like a cult movie because it's even the mainstream audience didn't watch it, and then the genre people didn't watch it either."
Martin Sheen. That's all you got to say. He's not.
But he's really good in it though.
But when was
No,
it?
he's
Was
great,
it
but-
87? Was it 80?
87.
Yeah.
He's just not a box office draw.
And not
you
in
know?
87. Not in. I mean,
No,
the thing. Have you seen the little girl that lives down the lane? Jodie Foster film.
Yes.
Like late.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I know
late
what you're talking
70s.
about.
That in my mind, that's the Martin Sheen era. Then, like late 70s, he was around. He was 70s. Badlands.
Badlands.
Exactly. Yeah, that was his time. When you say 87, Martin Sheen, it's like, well, what was he doing?
Well, it's like Donald Sutherland when he did the Puppet Master,
Yeah.
right? The body snatcher movie,
Yeah.
which is really
Yeah.
good. I actually think that movie's great. That did terribly because people are like Donald Sutherland in the mid '90s. Who wants to see? No offense, but I think it's the reason why.
No, that was
so many
that
of
was
these
the
actors
early. That was 80. That was 79, 80, wasn't it?
the,
You're thinking of the
Puppet
Abel
Master?
Ferrara one. That.
No. Puppet Masters.
Oh,
is
I thought you
Puppet
said
Masters.
Invasion of the Body Snatchers. That's me. Just
No, Puppet Masters. Puppet
Yeah,
Masters.
but then he's done, isn't he? Like, no offense, Donald
Yeah.
Sutherland. We love you and everything, but
I mean, I think like Michael Douglas did it right, as being a supporting actor in the Ant-Man movies because people are like, oh, I love Michael Douglas. But you put Michael Douglas in a lead role now for a mainstream film that's not catering to a 65 and over crowd, then they're not going to be totally down for it.
Did you hear?
Yeah, the game wasn't the game like the last Michael
95?
Douglas sort of.
Yeah.
I think it was his
Yeah.
last movie he did, and at that point, I think he was in his late 50s. I
Yeah,
think.
even then he felt like a little bit old,
Yeah.
To be,
Did you?
But I love that. I love it.
Did you hear about Michael Douglas about what he said about his throat cancer? Do you know about this or not?
No.
Oh, that it was given to him by HPV by
By what?
No, I
by,
don't-
by what? No. I heard this. I was like, this can't be true.
What?
And apparently it was true, but I think he must have said it jokingly. But they said to him, "Where do you think it was years of drinking and smoking that you got your throat cancer?" And he said, "No, it was eating out Catherine Zeta-Jones." Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Zach's
Yeah.
face. Yeah, he
Yeah.
did say it. He did. I thought this is internet bullshit, and then I kind of went back and, oh, okay, yeah, no, he did say it. He must
Yeah.
have said
Bravo,
it.
Michael D.
Yeah, I know. Hopefully, it
I
was like
remember
in
that.
jest, but I don't know. I have no idea.
I mean,
Yeah,
I didn't know he had throat cancer. Does he still have it?
I don't know. I have.
yeah.
no
I think
idea.
he's
Probably.
passed now or he's
Yeah.
fine now. But yeah,
good.
I remember that, and I thought that was shocking. I was like, really?
Corey, you knew what I was going to say. Corey,
Yeah.
you knew. I saw your.
Yeah.
And I was thinking,
Well,
is
then
Corey
I
gonna fill in the
started to
blanks?
say
Are you
it,
going to
but-
save me from saying this, or do I have to say this thing?
Well, then I started doubting. I was like, wait a minute, am I misconfabulating something? And then I was like,
But I felt that way
maybe
when I
shouldn't
was
say. I'll
saying
let
it.
David say it.
Yeah.
David can cancel himself.
Well, as I was
No
saying
wonder.
it, I was thinking, am I actually saying the right thing here? Is this just like a bad dream?
Well,
that's
well,
coming true?
regardless, it means you and I both heard this.
We've
So
both
at
heard
some
this.
point we
Yeah,
both
yeah.
heard it.
Yeah. And
Well,
Zach
it
obviously
doesn't
hadn't,
surprise
'cause
me.
He's such a nice.
I
humble
hadn't
human
heard that,
being.
but it
yeah.
it explains why she checked herself into a hospital
A gynecologist.
for mental disorder. Yeah, a gynecologist too.
Hey,
Is
Zach,
it
you wanna
me?
talk-
Michael
you
said
wanna
it was me. Can you check?
It was me.
Oh no! What was that talking? It was me, Catherine. It was me all along.
Come on.
It's such a perfect segue into what movies we're going to be covering at the beginning of season 5.
And this is going to be terrible editing, but I left it downstairs. I have to run downstairs
Okay,
and grab
go run,
it. So I'll
go
be
run
right
and get
back.
it.
Yeah,
I don't
hold
know
on.
if I'll be able to edit the video. So, guys and gals, David and I, for all the people who are going to watch the video, David, we'll just keep talking.
I want to
How's it
ask.
going,
I want
buddy?
to know what your thoughts are. Look at this, baby. The sequel, Children.
Oh, there's a
There's a
oh,
sequel,
so
Children of the Damned.
Before I forget, you made it all kind of click in my head. I didn't even think like village. You guys call like towns villages over there. So if
Yeah.
it was, I didn't even think that it was like a British movie, the
Yeah.
original.
Yeah.
But it makes sense because if it was like an American movie, we would have called it Town of the Damned.
Town of the
instead
Damned. Yeah, it's Village
Yep.
of the Damned. Yeah.
Yeah, that makes it
It's-
like kind of
it's-
you put a piece of the puzzle in my head.
I would totally say check it out. The original. It's worth watching. It's an hour and 17 minutes. It's slim and
perfect.
trim, and it
Perfect.
gets to the point immediately. And it does some things that the Carpenter one doesn't, and vice versa with the Carpenter one for this one. But it's as a comparison, definitely. But I'm really interested. I've no idea about this sequel, Children of the Damned, because the first thing that I see is different is I don't know if you can say it, the kid has got brown hair.
Yeah, he's got brown hair.
Yeah, so I don't know whether
he's
he's a different type of alien or something. I don't know. It's
or is it the children of the alien kids or something?
yeah, exactly. Yeah, I don't know.
The
Zach,
ones
have
who
you ever seen the
survive.
sequel, Children of the Damned?
No, no.
There's a blurb on the back that says, "Very frightening. Gave rise to a sequel every bit as good as the original." The movie guide.
That means it's not.
It's
good.
I know. When you have to put in the description that this is as good as the original,
We promise.
it's
we
not.
promise it's as good.
She has a great personality. It
Good
means,
movie.
It means they're
Good
fat.
movie.
Good movie. Good movie.
Good movie. Mike Daytalk from NBC Santa Fe.
What was the thing on all the
Good movie.
Dimension films? Do you remember there was something, the science fiction, the University of Science Fiction and Horror in Film? Do you remember that? And it'd be like
Terrible.
Halloween 6, it'd be like the best Halloween ever. And it was all
Yeah.
credited to this same bullshit organization that didn't exist. But it was all
there was a
Weinstein
time-
shit that they were putting this
Yeah,
blurb
of
on.
course.
Yeah.
Of course.
Oh yeah, and then reviewers would get paid to say things positive, like Rex
Yep.
Reed. Well, this movie's fantastic. I just thought it was great. Cha-ching! Did you hear my wallet get bigger?
Well, isn't it good that things like that don't happen anymore?
I know, right?
Rotten
Is this my next pick, by the way?
Yeah, I think so. If it's not, then it'll be a surprise to me.
Should I open it up?
Yeah, why not? So this will be the movie that I'm breaking down next. So,
Listen to that sound. The movie you'll be breaking down next will be, I'm not looking. Oh, Maximum Overdrive.
Who made who? Who made you?
I saw the logo on the
With-
back as you was opening it. I thought, I know what this is immediately.
Dude, after watching The Believers, and the whole time I was like, God damn, Emilio Estevez looks just like his dad. I was
Emilio!
like, this is gonna be perfect. This will be perfect to kick off season 5 with a movie that I watched so much as a kid and
Same.
was always traumatized by that one little kid that gets run over by the squisher.
Yeah.
I was like, what the fuck?
I thought you were gonna say you were traumatized by Yeardley Smith screaming throughout this whole thing because she is the most annoying actor.
She's
in
not
this
my favorite
movie.
part of the movie, but I do love that cocaine-fueled film. David, what are your thoughts on
Cocaine,
Maximum Overdrive?
Stephen King is the best Stephen King. It really,
Yeah.
like everything around that time when this was coming out was perfection for Stephen King. Like, I hate
agree.
to say it, but drug-addled Stephen King is a person I like.
Look,
I'm sure
It's like
clean
Phil
and sober
Collins-
one is fine. I'm sure he's fine.
It's the same as Chevy Chase, right,
Oh,
Zach?
yeah.
it's same as Chevy Chase. It's the same as Phil Collins was going through a horrible divorce when he put out the best music of his life. So
Yeah.
Who was
Sorry,
he divorcing
tragedy.
then? Wasn't it somebody famous?
I don't know,
Okay.
but I just know that all the great songs that came out of that were.
I would
from that
thank
divorce.
God.
I would pay money. There's two. Well, there's one commentary I'd pay money for, and there's a set of commentaries I'd pay money for, and I would love to have a Stephen King commentary on that film. I would love to hear.
This
I
commentary
remember
would be,
this day.
I
I
don't-
burnt 4 spoons. Okay, right.
I was gonna say, I think realistically he'll probably be like, I don't remember any of this at all. This is all.
This was
blur."
me.
I did that.
The other.
I'm in the movie. This thing calls me an asshole.
the other something talking about Carpenter, I would love if somehow somewhere out there in the world someone could make this happen, and I would donate money to this. If we could get John Carpenter, we should do it like for charity. Tell John Carpenter all the money we raise from this is going to charity, but we want you to do this. But John Carpenter commentary for every one of the Halloween sequels, I would.
Oh, the ones that he does.
The ones that he does, I would. That is worth paying money for, isn't it? That is
Yeah.
worth paying money for.
That would be something.
What
Yeah,
the
I
fuck
totally
is
agree.
this shit? What? That's not. He's too big. He's walking wrong. Who is this guy? That's not Michael Myers. Where did they get the mask? What a piece of shit.
Instead of riff tracks, they could call it R.I.P. tracks and
Yeah.
rip tracks.
Yeah,
rip
tracks.
There you go.
Yeah, we've done it.
Rip
Let's go.
Yeah.
I would love to just hear what he says because he's so candid about these things. Like when he was, have you ever seen the thing when he was in Germany and a girl asked him about what he thinks of Rob Zombie? Have you ever seen that video or not?
No.
Carpenter's sitting there and he's being very nice and very amicable and and she's going, "Oh, I love Halloween. Oh, thanks very much." And it's all really pleasant. And she goes, "Oh, so what do you think about Rob Zombie's Halloween?" And Carpenter just goes off on one. He goes, "That piece of shit fucking lied about me, saying I gave him no blessings. fuck Rob Zombie. And he goes, he got it all wrong. It was terrible. The guy he got to play was too big in his eyes. And it's worth finding. It's because he buries him. He absolutely buries Rob Zombie.
Yeah, I would not be surprised if the poster art says, best movie since Halloween 1,
John
Carpenter. Oh my God. Well, I can guarantee you my next pick is better than Rob Zombie's Halloween films.
Is it a blank disc?
Well,
Is it a blank disc?
yeah, exactly. It's basically, it's just the sound of a modem for 90 minutes. Beep, boop. So my pick for Corey actually is in my hand. I have yet to send it out to him. So this is the first time he's seen my pick, the movie I will be breaking down. David, you mentioned that Village of the Damned is 77 minutes long, an hour and 17 minutes,
that's right? Yeah.
My pick is an hour and 14 minutes.
Oh my
long.
God.
Wow.
You lucky bastard.
A little bit of an... So the reason I chose this film, Robert Ortiz posted about it the other day and said it's my favorite full moon movie. So the movie I'm choosing is going to be Dr. Mordred.
Excellent choice.
The Doctor Strange of the full moon universe.
Yes, with Jeffrey Combs and... interview of June for $2 late fee, Brian Thompson. Brian Thompson. We did not get to talk to Brian Thompson about this movie, but I have a feeling he has positive things to say.
Well, maybe we could get him on real quick for Podcast After Dark and maybe do like a little quick discussion with him if he's available.
Yeah, I can reach out and ask for sure. And Albert Band and Charles Band both directed this film. It's a father and son directorial deal.
I have the same DVD, Blu-ray. I have that.
You
exactly the same. Yeah, I found it for $3, and I was just so happy. I was just so happy. It was.
Were you happy with the fact that it? Were you happy with the fact that it has a rare William Shatner interview with Jeffrey Combs and Barbara Crampton on it?
Well, there you go. I haven't yet delved into those special features. I watched the movie, but yeah, wow. I know.
By the way,
that was worth two of those $3.
Oh man, offline I have to tell you a story about William Shatner. So,
well,
because I just did an interview with somebody and they're like, you can't put this on the interview. I'm like, okay. Can I tell people about it? They're like, yeah, just don't put it on the interview.
Don't put it out there for okay.
I've been binge watching Married with Children, and I was shocked that Zak's girlfriend had an uncredited one-line cameo in Married with Children.
My girlfriend?
Your unofficial girlfriend. The girlfriend that could have been.
Cynthia Rothrock?
Oh, give me a break. Another one. Here we go.
We're talking about Reagan from The Exorcist.
We definitely
Linda
are.
Blair.
Yeah, we are.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
That girlfriend.
I know.
That girlfriend.
Man, can you guys... Wow. Red heat.
Just have a moment. Just have a moment.
R.I.P. to what could have been in Zak's life.
Yeah, she turned up. Yeah, uncredited, just turned up as a cameo quick. I was like, is that Linda Blair? And she had one line. I was like, it's Linda Blair. Okay, fair enough.
Wow, she's fantastic.
Wild. It's hard to watch Married with Children here because they don't have the rights to the intro anymore.
Buy
So I
the
think
Blu-ray.
on
Buy the
Crackle or
DVD.
whatever-
Buy the DVD.
Yeah, that's the only way to go these days. That's why we say it a million times, physical media for life, because anything can happen on streaming. So that's why my TV Obscura library is growing now and stuff, because I'm just like, at what point will the Adventures of Briscoe County Jr. be gone? At what point will Sledgehammer? I'm surprised the Sledgehammer DVD is easy to find, but so was the Dungeons and Dragons cartoon forever. And then all of a sudden, Dungeons and Dragons, the cartoon becomes popular again, and the DVD disappears.
Actually, speaking of that, on the D&D's Instagram page, they just teased something to do with the cartoon. They're like, go to TikTok to find out about this, and I'm like, but people are like, no, just tell us.
Yeah.
So they're teasing something to do with the cartoon. I don't know what they have in store, but hopefully it's a 40th anniversary DVD or something.
I think they'll probably go Blu-ray. I mean, they did that with Thundar the Barbarian. Warner Brothers put out that Blu-ray, and I think that got decent fanfare and service and everything. So maybe they're like, you know what? With the popularity of the movie and the action figures are out, let's just put out a Dungeons & Dragons Season 1 Blu-ray.
I have a feeling the movie did not do what the studio had expected, so they're not going to move forward with a sequel. I heard.
That's a shame.
It's really a shame.
I just want to say something. This is a sign of the times. On the Married with Children DVD, what do you think they have listed as special features? Just
an interview with William Shatner?
Exactly. They have listed as special features original opening sung by Frank Sinatra. That is the special features.
Wow.
I know.
Wow.
That I thought that's it. That's it.
That's all you need.
Get the
right
opening.
there.
There's the special features. You get the
That's
opening.
all you need right there. No behind the scenes. No nothing. There you go.
Dudes, that reminds me of that god awful Grindhouse Blu-ray they put out where they're like, it contains all the stuff from the film, and you're like, actually no, it doesn't contain anything. It contains 2 separate discs that have 2 separate movies on them,
and none of the commercials or anything like that.
But
so lame.
Best Buy, they put out, like, it's gone now. I got it on eBay, fortunately, but Best Buy, they did a Best Buy exclusive that had at least had all the trailers in the beginning, and then the movies are combined onto one disc, so at least you have that.
Well, Best Buy owns the rights to Heavy Metal, the movie, too. So, like, that's the
Best
only
Buy
place.
does?
Yeah, because that's the only way you can get the Blu-ray or the 4K is through Best Buy.
Wow,
that's crazy.
Yeah, it's like, why pick that movie of all the movies to be like, we're gonna back that one for sure. But David, it was great talking to you, buddy.
Yeah.
It's been forever. Let's plug the book again, because this is going to be on the free feed. We're going to put this out on the free feed for everyone to hear, probably as a bonus episode. But plug the book. Where can people buy it? And all the good stuff. You
can go and grab a copy of COCKBLOCKER on Amazon.com. Just go over there, type in COCKBLOCKER, and I'm damn sure I'm going to be one of the top things that pops up. I don't think there's anything else. But yeah, COCKBLOCKER, Amazon, grab it. Add me on social media, and Facebook and Instagram. I'm out there because I'm going to be doing some bundles of T-shirts and signed books, and all the money I'm just putting it towards opening up my cat rescue. So it's all going to somewhere good. So yeah, if anyone can help out and you can get some signed stuff very cheap, and it's all going to a good place. I'd appreciate it.
Awesome. Maybe we can get Linda Blair a part of that too.
Linda Blair, yeah, I think about her quite a lot. Not as much as
She's a big animal advocate,
but in a different way. But yeah, as an animal, I think about her as an animal advocate. You think about her as an animal in the sheets. But
on that note, David, thank you so much for coming on the show. And as always,
we'll see you on the dark side.
Be sure to subscribe to Podcasting After Dark and give us a 5-star rating on iTunes. Support Podcasting After Dark on Patreon. Follow us on Instagram and Facebook at Podcasting After Dark. And visit us next time for another installment of Podcasting After Dark with Corey Stevenson and Zach Schaefer.
Imagine being one of the last people on Earth, being trapped alone with something not human, something always watching, something always waiting. What would you do? Where would you run? Where would you hide if you were haunted for 7 winters alone? Podcasting After Dark presents 7 Winters Alone, a dystopian haunted house story by David Irons. Available now in paperback and ebook.